Now, as we announced last week, starting this week, I'll be cutting down the time to roughly 1.5 hours. We'll stop around 10:30 more or less. The reason is because I want to turn in, I want to, sorry? 9:30. 9:30. And 9:30 so that I can turn in early because I tend to get up 5 or 6 o'clock, so I do some meditation. And also age is catching up, so I just like to keep up with the level of my energy. And I'm also still doing my Sutta translation work as usual. Volume 60 is going to appear before the year end, I think. So it's just nice, we're in time. So do join us on time, and we will look at the Sutta as before, joyfully look at the Sutta. So today's Sutta is called Dasaka Aññā Sutta. Dasa 10. Dasa is very close to Latin deca, or D-E-C-A. Dasa, deca, Dasaka means the tens, sets of 10. This comes from the book of tens. So if you notice at the top here, this is the traditional numbering A10. 10 here, Anguttara 10. 10 means Dasaka Nipata, the collection of 10 items. Each sutta has got 10 items. And this is part 2, right? So Dutiya Panasaka, the second 50. So here the suttas, the reciters, they sort the suttas in sets of 50. So this is the second 50. And it is Sutta 4 in that second 50. Dutiya, second, Panasaka, 50. Okay? And that fourth section is called Theravagga, the chapter on the elders. And this sutta is from Mahā Kassapa, okay? The elder Mahā Kassapa, Sutta 6. Okay. So you notice here 86, right? So this is a Western modern numbering, is a bit different. 10, 86 is simplified. Because here you notice you have so many numbers to remember. In olden times, people have better memories. So they remember the sutta as 8, 10, 2, 4, 6. They're quite a mouthful. But today we prefer short numbering 8, 10.86. Right? So Aññā, the original word is nya, comes from janya, meaning to know. So Aññā means liberating knowledge, the knowledge of the arhat. Very easy to remember, starts with an A here, arhat. Okay, Aññā is the liberating knowledge, the arhat's knowledge. Aññā, awakening knowledge. Sutta's teaching. The 10th discourse on final knowledge. You can translate also as final knowledge, meaning it's the knowledge that brings you to nirvana. The Burmese, I think, the Burmese edition is called Adhimāna Sutta, the discourse on arrogance. Notice here, mana means conceit, adi means extreme, okay? Extreme conceit, arrogance. So because this sutta is about people who think they're already enlightened, but they're not, and they go around declaring it, right? So the Burmese title is Adhimāna. So you find that the suttas can have more than one title. And if you are better with numbers, then remember it as A 10.86. Anguttara, chapters of 10, Sutta 86. Otherwise, remember the theme. What is this book about? Book learning or mere views does not lead to liberation. Right. So notice this was translated first in 2005, and we have revised it recently. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in this study, I have done two kinds of translation. The short one, which is found on page 1, 2, 3, and then the normal long one. Okay. I leave it to you to read the short one. I'll help you to study with the long one. Okay. All right, let's go down to the translation on page 1 to 4. Right, here we are. Okay, that's good. This is the short one, I think, right? Further down a bit. Here you are. This is the long one. There's also a short note on just above this. If you just go down a bit, yeah, there you are. How to use a sutta. So this helps occasionally just to read it. How do we use a sutta? How do we study a sutta? This sutta, like many others in the Sutta Discovery series, has been translated with the repetition cycles of the yala given in full. Now you notice in many of the new translation, including the commercial translation, there are lots of 3 dots, ellipses. So you have to fill in yourself, and normally we don't know what to fill it in, and there it goes blank. So we don't receive the transmission, and Dharma anymore is gone. And in many of these modern translation, the vocatives, like the Buddha say bhikshus, or the Buddha say Ananda, all these have been removed. They're not mentioned at all. If you look at Bhikkhu Buddhist translation, you find all these are missing, right? And something very strange with Bhikkhu Buddhist translation is he totally omits the Thai Tipitaka. Not a single mention of the Siamese Tipitaka. And this is something up to today, I cannot understand why he omits the third very important collection of Tipitaka, right? Anyway, in this way, the sutta teaching is given in full without the mind filling in too much of its own details in the perceived gaps, right? So these payalas with the 3 dots, you find if you are not familiar with the sutta, you tend to simply put in your own ideas, and then you don't get the sutta. One should study a sutta not merely to know it. That's the easy part. You find many scholars that study and then become experts, better than the Buddhist masters themselves. So it seems. So but the purpose of studying sutta is to learn to let go of the self, right? To free yourself from views, from negative feelings, negative thoughts, right? Especially the notion of the self-view. The very first teaching in Buddhism, first practice, if you like, is to learn to let go of the self. That's what leads you to stream winning. That's the practical aspect of Buddhism. To this effect, the sutta should be mindfully read or listened to and reflected upon again and again. Right? In fact, you find if you know sutta, it will keep coming back to you, and this sutta is going to be your teacher. It's going to help you connect things together. Life is like many, many dots in front of you. Every event in your life is a dot. And over time, as you understand sutta better, as your wisdom grows, you begin to join all these dots together, and then you get this very interesting picture. Like, when we were young, we used to follow these lines with numbers, and we join them up, and then you get, a picture of an elephant or some interesting figure. So this is like taking a regular dose, also like taking your medicine. You got to take it on time, properly, right dosage, and so on. The rules of realization are growing even as you do so, right? When you study the sutta bit by bit, there is this change, even right now, it's happening in you. You may not notice it. And before you know it, it flowers and bears fruit. Well, we have been at peace for a long time now. That's so this is part of the blessings of the sutta. Okay. So that's how we study a sutta, the purpose of learning a sutta, to free ourselves from views, wrong views especially, and from suffering. Dasaka Aññā Sutta, the 10th Discourse on Final Knowledge, 10.86. At one time, the Venerable Mahā Kassapa was staying in the squirrel's feeding ground in the bamboo grove near Rajagaha. Okay, notice here, there's no mention of the Buddha. It starts off with Mahā Kassapa. Mahā Kassapa has a very interesting story, right? Of course, it's best you read it for yourself in the Dictionary of Pali Proper Names. Otherwise, you can write to us. We can let you have some references to look up to read. He is, although we have Sariputta and Moggallana as a left hand, right hand monks with the Buddha, that is the administrative side of the Sangha, if you like. Okay, so Wherever the Buddha goes, Mahā Kassapa, I mean, this Sariputta, Moggallana will be there on the right. But you rarely see Mahā Kassapa following the Buddha. Why is that? There is a story here. Offhand, I can't remember the exact reference. It appears one day, Mahā Kassapa and the Buddha were walking with the monks, and there were some people who saw them, came forward, and they were not sure who is the teacher, because Mahā Kassapa is senior and is just as tall as the Buddha. He looks very much like the Buddha. So people could not recognize who the Buddha is. And so they think that Mahā Kassapa is the teacher. He looks senior and so on. So this embarrassed Mahā Kassapa as a student, because he respects the Buddha very much. So from that moment, it seems, according to the story, he decided he should go on his own. He should not steal the teacher's thunder, as it were. This is his own decision. So he became a forest monk. Of course, it's not the first time this idea came to him. The Buddha already had this idea. The Buddha looked up to him and saw the seniority, the seriousness in Mahā Kassapa. He is a very Dharma-inspired arhat, monk, generally speaking. So he decided to go into solitude and live by himself. In fact, he is, of all of those monks who are regarded as agga, as foremost in various qualities, one of his qualities is to go into the details of practice, dutta vadana, the detail of, he's very careful about nitty-gritty of the Vinaya and the Dhamma and so on. And often, apparently, he would, I wouldn't say scold, he rather like point out to Ananda not to be too close to the lay people, for example. So you find that Mahā Kassapa and Ananda kind of on opposite poles of personality. Ananda is the very friendly, socially engaged, very close to what they call this, people who come to see the Buddha. So he's always there trying to help these people who come. Where Mahā Kassapa is the quiet, austere, almost like a father figure, alone by himself, and very careful that all the rules are kept and so on. So he's that ideal ascetic, if you like. So he's like the father of Buddhist asceticism, if you like. So that's Mahā Kassapa. And in fact, he respects the Buddha so much. Some of you may remember when the Buddha has passed away, he's the one who called the first council together. And because of Mahā Kassapa, we have the suttas handed down to this day. Right? So this is the important teacher that we have, right? So he's like second in command to the Buddha in a sense, okay? So this is the sutta that he has given, the teaching he has given in the squirrels feeding ground, in the bamboo forest. Bamboo forest is very big, so part of it, there are lots of squirrels outside Rajagaha. Then the Venerable Mahā Kassapa addressed the monks. Also, bhikshus, okay? Also means like brothers, Bhikshus are the junior monks, the monks in general. Also, the monks replied to Mahā Kassapa in assent. The Venerable Mahā Kassapa said this. Notice the structure here is very similar to the way the Buddha gives teachings. So here, the Buddha is speaking, Mahā Kassapa is speaking the Buddha word. All right. 2. Here, bhikshus, a monk declares his final knowledge thus. I know thus, destroyed are the mental influxes. Live is the holy life. Done is what has to be done. Laid down is the burden. There is no more of this state. Now, this is a typical announcement of one's arhathood. All right. So here, Mahā Kassapa is saying, a monk, here could be anyone, in fact. Here, the word monk is used to refer to the audience, right? Most of them would be monks. And the monks are present so that the sutta is taught to the world, and the sutta is born to the world and then transmitted through the monks down to us. So this word monk refers to people who listen to the Dhamma, to the suttas, and who meditate. When you meditate, you do it properly, you gain a state called Bhikkhu Bhava. Bhikkhu Bhava means the state of a monk or monkness. Okay, this is what Buddha Ghosha says. You can see this in the commentaries, you can see this in the footnote in the Satipatthana Sutta, which I put there, so you can look up the details there. Final knowledge is, of course, the declaration of awakening, right? And it is worded in just this way. Destroyed are the mental influxes. What does this mean? Influxes are those distractions and defilements that flow in. That's why they're called influxes. They flow in through the five physical senses plus the mind, the sixth sense. And they cause us to have desires. We want to continue to be this and be that, to be born and reborn, and our ignorance keep us chained to samsara. So these are in ancient texts, ancient suttas, these are called the three influxes. Sense desire, eternal existence or existence in general, being this, being that, and then the last one is ignorance. The commentaries add a fourth influx, that is of views. So views becomes number 3, right? So the four influxes, you have sense desire, existence, wrong view, or simply view, ignorance, right? So these influxes are all gone. In fact, the three influxes are easier to remember because they reflect the 3 sets forming the 10 Sangyojanas, the 10 fetters. Right, the first 3, when the first 3 are broken, you become a stream winner. Then the stream winner overcomes a bit more of great hatred delusion. He attains once returning. When the once returner overcomes all the first 5 his Sangyojanas, he becomes a non-returner. So you have the 3 fetters and then 5. So that's 2 sets already. And then the 10 fetters, all the 10 are overcome by the arhat. All right. So these 3 fetters reflect those stages, right? If you want more details, you can look up this in the index. That's the Sutta index, and rather in the Dictionary of Early Buddhism, DEB, is all there, or just write to us. Right. So here Mahā Kassapa said there are those who declare themselves to be arahats. So they have lived the holy life, done what has to be done. The burden is laid down. In other words, no more burden of study, the burden of meditation. There's no more of this state, no more rebirth. So they claim to become awakened. Now you'll be surprised. Now as Buddhism become better known in the world, especially in the West, there are people who, many years ago, I saw one website, this person, a very odd-looking monk, declares publicly on his website he is an arhat. He's a stream winner, rather, Sutta Panna. Of course, no one takes it seriously. Well, there might be some who are not so informed with Buddhism. They might take him seriously. Then lately, there was this doctor who wrote a thick book, and he declares himself openly, loudly in his book that he is an arahant. He used the word arahant. Oh, this caused quite a bit of criticism. There are people who criticize this. And I've written a study of this also in the latest SD 60.1F. So it's very interesting to read about this, why he declared himself an arhat, why he dares to declare himself an arhat, and what is it he's saying, and why is he saying. Also, all these are analyzed in this last volume of the SD 60.1. So here you see in this sutta, the Mahā Kassapa is referring to that kind of situation where people are not arhat, They declare themselves so. Why? Okay, let's look further now. 2.2. The Tathagata or the Tathagata's disciple, Tathagata here is the Buddha. Chinese is Rulai, okay? The Tathagata or the Tathagata disciple, a meditator skilled in the attainments. That means attain jhanas and form jhanas, form jhanas. Skill in reading another's mind. It's not difficult to read another's mind. If you, as you age, as you learn to calm yourself, you find you're usually not wrong in reading a person's mind, especially a younger person, especially if you're a teacher, but you can easily read another's mind. Skill in the understanding of ways of another's mind, even though you can't read, but you have the skill to read the personality, right? Closely examines and questions and converses with him. Right? So here, Mahā Kassapa says the Buddha or the Buddha's disciple will talk with this person. All right. Thus, on being closely examined, questioned, and conversed with, he comes to a desert, a jungle, to distress, to the wrong way, to ruin, to loss, and misfortune. So this wise, the Buddha or this wise disciple, talking to this person who makes a false declaration, will know. The Buddha or disciple will know this person is making a false declaration. So 24, the Buddha or the disciple, having read the mind, and of this person who declares himself to be awakened but not awakened, he considers thus, right? So the Buddha or the disciple thinks in this way. Now, why does this Venerable One declare thus? Now, this Venerable One is simply a very respectful term referring to the other person. You hear this in debates, right? My honored speaker and so on like that, the Venerable One. Why does he declare thus? I know thus, destroyed other mental influxes, live is the holy life, done what has to be done, laid down is the burden, there is no more of this state. In other words, why does he declare himself an arhat? So this is the question, right? Then the Tathagata or the Tathagata's disciple, the meditator, skilled in attainment, skilled in reading another's mind, having thus grasped another's mind with his own, knows. Notice the word knows, okay? Usually most of us who are not awakened will guess, but our guess are usually right and also can be wrong. But in this case, they know, very clear. So here the Buddha or the disciple will think, indeed, seized by arrogance. This is the first fault. Arrogance, this Venerable One, taking his arrogance to be the truth, regards the unattained as attained, regards the undone as done, regards the unrealized as realized. Right? So he thinks he has attained this awakening. And through arrogance, he declares to another, he declares final knowledge. Thus, I know thus, right? Destroyed other mental influxes and so on. So basically, I'm an arhat. Okay, so he thinks this way, and he will be surprised. There are people. They're usually very intelligent people, right? They have done maybe they are doctors, lawyers, or whatever, you know. But they're very highly intelligent. They read the suttas. They say, "Oh, this is just so simple," you know, and they think that they understood it already, understand the teaching, all right? So this is a kind of warning the Buddha gives us. So notice here, Mahā Kassapa is showing us the Buddha's teaching, not his own teaching. Okay. 2.9. The Tathagata or the Tathagata's disciple, a meditator skilled in attainment, skill in reading another's mind, having thus grasped another's mind with his own, he considers. All right. So now further, go down to 210, please. Now, on account of what does this Venerable One declares thus? I know, so the same question is asked: why does this person declare himself to be an arhat? Okay, so again, this the Buddha or the disciple will look more closely into this person's mind, and this is the conclusion. This is what the Buddha or the disciple reads, 2.12. Okay, deeper examination. So this is what the Buddha will notice. Indeed, this venerable one is deeply learned, so very intelligent, deeply learned, and expert in learning, maybe a scholar, one who has accumulated learning, PhD or specialist, in regards to what they or others profess to be the Dharma, right? So notice this very clear reference today to scholars, especially, or to those who know really expert Dharma. Good in its beginning, good in its middle, good in its end. Endowed with the meaning and phrasing, or in the spirit and the letter, and the holy life that is entirely complete and pure. All right. So they think they know what we all know, or what Buddha himself knows. Okay. It is this Dharma that he has heard much of, borne in mind through speech, grasped after turning over in the mind, well understood merely as an opinion. There you are. See, this is a very important statement here. Here, this person heard much. Of course, in our times, this heard much includes widely read. He has read a lot of books. And he has remembered all these things. He has a good memory. And he has turned it over in his mind. In other words, he learns to think. Right? If you attend lectures in the universities, or some good teacher will tell you, oh, be critical, study this, look at it in this way, that way, right? So he does all this. But the conclusion he comes to is simply an academic, personal opinion. Why? Because nothing has changed in him. He has not attained any level, not even stream winning, in other words. Okay? So it's just as an opinion. Therefore, seized by arrogance, this venerable one, taking his arrogance to be the truth, right? Notice it, he takes his view to be the truth, regards the unattained as attained, regards the undone as done, regards the unrealized as realized, right? So he thinks that, oh, he's already done all the practices. He thinks that he has realized, understood everything already. So through his arrogance, he declares thus, I know thus, destroyed are the mental influxes, live is the holy life. Done is what that has to be done. Laid down is the burden. There's no more of this state. So he thinks that he has attained awakening as an arhat. Okay, so this is the first part, and you find Mahā Kassapa is going to give 10 reasons or 10 conditions that make this false person makes his declaration. So we'll take a short break here. So in the previous section, we have Mahā Kassapa telling us that this person who makes a false declaration is an arhat because of arrogance, Adhimāna. Okay, and this arrogance is now explained as based on the 10 hindrances. Now, it's only in this sutta you find this special set, 10 hindrances, which are made up of the 5 original sutta hindrances plus 5 more. We can call it personal hindrances. We have the mental hindrances, first 5, and the last 5 are personal hindrances. These are all listed in the section 1.3 of your introductory notes. All right. So this is a teaching from Mahā Kassapa in connection with the Buddha's teaching, 2.16. The Tathagata or the Tathagata's disciple, a meditator skilled in attainments, skilled in reading another's mind, having thus grasped another's mind with his own nose. He knows what? He knows the 10 hindrances that kind of controls this false claimant, this person who claims that he's an arhat or arhat. Indeed, this Venerable One is covetous abijalu. You find this a very common term in the suttas, right? He wants what other people have. He dwells in the grass of covetousness. Now, the grass of covetousness indeed weakens this teaching and discipline, this Dhamma and Vinaya proclaimed by the Tathagata. So if you are caught up with this covetousness, this is desiring for things which other people have, then your understanding of the Dhamma, your own wisdom will be weakened, very severely weakened. All right. Now all this teaching repeats itself. So I'm going to read just the key word. All right. So number 2, this Venerable One has ill will. So when you have covetousness, you have the opposite, ill will, because they go together as a pair. When you like something, there's also something you don't like. And indeed, this Venerable One is with sloth and torpor. Right? So there you are. This is the third mental hindrance against meditation. Sloth and torpor. It tends to be tired and sleepy because of covetousness and ill will. And then as a result, it becomes restless, becomes troubled. All right. Not because of compassion, because normally even the non-returner is restless, but it is because of his compassion. He sees people suffering and he says, oh, why don't these people practice the Dhamma so they don't suffer, right? So that's a Dhamma restlessness, Dhammudacha, right? But this is a worldly kind of restlessness. Okay, now we go further down, below to number 5. Indeed, this Venerable One is doubt-ridden. Vichikicho is doubt, right? He's not, there's certain things about the Dhamma he doubts. So you find this person who wrote in the West, this doctor who claims he's an arhat, he has doubts about the teachings of the Buddha, and he said, oh, this is probably what Buddha never taught this, and he just changed things and edict as he likes. All right, so these first 5 are the traditional 5 hindrances. So we have 5 more hindrances, right? So the first 5 we call the mental hindrances. So the last 5 we can call personal hindrances, if you like. These are hindrances that happens to us physically even, right? Number 6. Indeed, this Venerable One finds delight in work, in being busy, kamarato, in doing things, doing this, doing that, okay? Delighting in work, he is yoked to delighting in work, all right? So now, working, normally we say is good, isn't it? I mean, but here, it's a different kind of industry. It's more rooted in greed, hate, delusion. So it's taken up by doing things which don't really benefit him, which is not really based on the Dhamma, in other words. So it's the wrong kind of work. You find in the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha often says a monk should be assertive, a monk should have right effort, a monk should be diligent. All that are talking about putting in a lot of effort in practice. So this is more of like external kind of output, not kind of input for wisdom. So this is number 6. Number 7, indeed, this Venerable One finds pleasure in talking, basaramo, talking, chatting with people, enjoys this kind of social talking, if you like. Spreading, of course, spreading his teaching, right? And he's the main speaker, so to speak. And then number 8, indeed, this Venerable One finds pleasure in sleeping, nidaramo, okay, sleeping, enjoying sleeping, and because he's tired out from all this worldly effort he has made. And then number 9, this Venerable One finds pleasure in socializing, Sangha-nika-ramo. Okay. Now this Sangha-nika, it doesn't have a very good in sense here. It basically means that is rooted in desire and wrong views and so on, right? This kind of socializing, delighting in company. He's yoked to delighting in company, right? Now, here it's important to understand when we talk about monks and nuns and meditation practitioner, it's important to be by yourself so that you can meditate properly. Right? So that's why the socializing is highlighted here. And yet you find in the Sangha, even among the fourfold community, fellowship is very important, right? So this kind of socializing, Dharma-spirited socializing, is important. That you find the suttas mention, for example, the monks, they look at each other in the eyes with smiling eyes, mixing like milk and water, right? So there is this fellowship there, but not socializing in a sense, in the wrong sense, like talking about gossiping about places where they go gambling or go for pleasure, things like that. It didn't talk about football or all these things, right? The worldly things, in other words. And number 10, indeed, moreover, this number 1 is unmindful or forgetful, muttasati. In other words, he doesn't really remember the teachings, he doesn't connect the teachings, so because of that, he fails to understand the Buddha's teaching correctly and completely. Now, there is a statement made by Mahā Kassapa. Mahā Kassapa is often well known for his prophecies also. So here he's making like a prophecy. He says, even the trifling special state he has attained to are given up halfway. So here is interesting because anyone who studies Buddhism, even if he doesn't call himself a Buddhist, he'll be able to attain some level of peace and even deep understanding, right? A few days ago, Rana and I, we went to listen to a young man who's qualified as an MBSR teacher. I mean, he has paid for this course, and then he now is a qualified teacher. So you find he can teach meditation quite well for ordinary people, and so it's really interesting listening to the way he talks, you know. But then we find he's not that friendly. He's not really fellowship engaged. When he was introduced to me, and hardly within 3 seconds he already turned away and goes off. Maybe he at once measured me, oh, this guy's got no title. He's not even a working person. He's a really old man. There's nothing to offer, right? So and he just goes away. You know? So you find it's quite a shock sometimes when you see someone who's supposed to be a meditator, teacher, he actually talks all these instructions for meditation, but he doesn't show that calmness, that friendliness, that Dharma feeling. So here, Mahā Kassapa says, all these wonderful states as they attain will be given up, will be lost halfway, midway. Giving up midway, giving up halfway, indeed weakens this teaching and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata. And here we find that there are a few of these teachers nowadays, you know, who started off very interested in Buddhism and even going to PhD into Buddhism and become teachers and scholars of Buddhism. And then later they say, oh, you know, they find Buddhism doesn't help them. They're going back to their old religion. You find someone, for example, wrote a book, why he went back to his old religion. He says, oh, you know, Buddhism doesn't offer anything. He says after rebirth, you find there's nothing there. Buddhism doesn't explain why there is something. Now, that's a very odd statement, because if you had read the sutta, in fact, one of the sutta in volume 60 is probably the Godatta Sutta, I think. The Buddha talks about to have this idea there is a something is what will cause us problems, to attach to the self, have this self view and so on. So basically, he doesn't even have read the early teachings because he specializes in Mahayana. So understandable why he gave up Buddhism. So here Mahā Kassapa is warning us. He said, once these people who have all these grand views, they will give up Buddhism later on. Why? Because people will start showing them how he's wrong, and then he find, oh, he has no more answers, so he has to give up, right? So this is the sad cycle they go through. Indeed, friends, says Mahā Kassapa, this monk can be anyone here. Notice the word monk is used, but it can be anyone who's not even not a Buddhist, right? Without giving up these 10 things, would not be able to attain growth, progress, abundance in this teaching and discipline. Indeed, friends, this monk giving up these 10 things will be able to attain growth, progress, abundance in this Dharma and Vinaya. And the Sutta ends here. So in other words, it's not too late. If this person who claims himself to be an arhat and he says, oh, okay, looks like I made a big mistake here, and I've read the suttas, and I think I better correct myself. There's still a chance this person can change. If he doesn't, then he will give up the teaching, and that's the end of it. He will go on to do something else, maybe turn to another religion, perhaps. All right. So there you are. We have a teaching here, where Mahā Kassapa reminds us, study the suttas well, be happy, be at peace with yourself, make friends, and do your regular practice, and you find you will live quite happily without having to declare yourself to have attained any states. Because if you're healthy, you are healthy. You don't have to declare that you are healthy. People look at you, talk to you, they will notice. Mentally healthy, physically healthy. Okay, well, that's nice. I managed to finish in time. We have 15 minutes for question time, right? As I said, we will end more or less at 9:30.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Okay.
The first question from Sister Helene.
Yes.
The restlessness and worry as one of the 5 hindrances. In today's sutta, Sadi only quoting udatta, but not the usual Pali words of udacha, kukucha. Just wonder if worry or remorse, sometimes used in other translation, is less significant as hindrances.
No, I wouldn't say less significant. There are occasions when the context will highlight certain aspect. So these are called pregnant terms. So in other words, udatta is an adjective. Udatta means restless. So we know a person can be restless also because of worry, right? So worry is included. So the sutta it's not technical. It doesn't have this long word for both of them, but from udatta, it includes udacha kukucha. Udacha kukucha is the noun, the state, restlessness and worry. Okay, it's a good question because you notice there seems to be this difference. Yeah, but here, as I said, we look at the situation, we know this word covers both the terms. So this is the style of the suttas. Always remember that, right? The suttas are easy and relaxed, and the context will speak for itself. So the Buddha doesn't talk like an engineer with all the details, right? But the language is clear, and the words are clear, reflecting the ideas that we need to know to understand what the Buddha is teaching. Yeah, so it shows that you understand that the 5 hindrances. So that's good. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Sister Helene.
Sure.
Buddha has given 40 different meditation objects for samatha practice as well as satipatthana for insights meditation practice. Can Brother Piya give some guidance in daily meditation practice? How do one choose what to practice and what is the best way to practice the samatha and insights meditation concurrently?
All right. Yes, I'm very happy you asked this question. Actually, there are more than 40 meditation taught by the Buddha. If you look carefully here and there, sometimes the Buddha will give a special meditation to a person. And since there's only a single meditation, it's not recorded in the 40. The 40s are like sets of meditation, which are well known enough. Yeah? So definitely more than 40. There are many meditations which are not recorded in the 40. Okay, basically, the purpose of meditation is, first of all, to calm ourselves. So that is called samatha. It's not the meditation here, is the method. Samatha is we calm ourselves. So different people may have different methods for calming themselves. Again, here there's no fixed way of saying it, right? So the teacher looks at the person and says, okay, you try this, see what happens. So you try for yourself. Most people find, for example, breath meditation helps us to feel very peaceful, right? We breathe in, we breathe out, and then you find that, wow, this following the breath, you feel very peaceful. Why? Because we let go of thoughts. Thoughts are what takes away our energy. Thoughts are like leaks in our mind, and our energy, like this very powerful gas that makes the balloon float. But this gas, this hydrogen, runs out through these leaks in the big balloon, right? So you feel weak, and the balloon goes lower down. I think. So when you practice properly, watching the breath in and out, and letting go of all these thoughts, your breath will calm you down. That is samatha. So you have used breath as samatha to bring you peace. All right. So see which method helps to bring you peace. Another one is, for example, you can think of the Buddha. You can say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, and then you listen to the sound. And that also can bring you peace. So some people, they have faith, so reflecting on the Buddha, the stories of the Buddha, also may calm them down. Or if you like the Dharma, you reflect on the Dharma that you like. There's so many Dharma teachings, and you're so happy with the Dharma teaching. You reflect on that Dharma teaching. That is Dharma Nusati. You got Buddha Nusati, Dharma Nusati. I often tell you, for example, here, when we do our meditation, when you keep the precepts, you can recall those moments, right? So you recall Sila Nusati, that you have kept the precept during this period. You have recited it, and then you have kept it. You have not broken even one of it, right? So that's Sila Nusati, and you feel calm and peaceful. You feel joyful, and it's included in this calmness meditation also. We call it calmness meditation, but it means the meditation that helps you to calm yourself, right? So calmness is the basis to help you clear your mind so that you can direct it to vipassana, to look deep into reality of things. So you can use breath again for vipassana also. So you watch the breath, you feel at peace with yourself, and then you look at the breath and say, oh, this breath also is impermanent. It comes in and then it goes out. I cannot hold this breath. I cannot own this breath. Although I say it's my breath and this breath gives me life, I cannot even own this breath. This breath is non-self. I cannot own it. I cannot say it's I, me, or mine. It comes in, it goes out. It's the air from outside. It comes in and then it mixes up with my body and it goes out again, right? So you reflect in that way, and then you begin to understand idea of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, because if you don't breathe properly, then you get sick and so on. There's unsatisfactoriness, suffering. And then there is this non-self. You can't own this breath which gives you life, right? So that's vipassana. Vipassana gives you a deeper understanding, wisdom into true reality of life, right? So you select the meditation at that time. They're like tools. So you select there's no fixed meditation that is good for you. You select, see what you need, and you practice at that time. If you're not sure, of course, the most popular one will be breath meditation, because it's easy to do, and it's the one the Buddha himself used for his awakening. And the other one, of course, loving kindness, because loving kindness is easy to use. And again, the Buddha often teaches loving kindness in the suttas too. Loving kindness helps you to feel positive towards people, even when they are negative, but you accept them as they are, and you feel at peace with yourself because of that. So, and that helps you to go on with your own meditation without having to think about this, think about that, then you get upset. Thinking upsets us. But if you feel loving kindness, you feel the peace. You cannot think peace. You cannot think loving kindness. You feel it, right? In other words, it's this energy, this joy that fills your being, and you become that loving kindness. You become that beautiful light. So the practice is your choice. In a sense, there's a bit of trial and error. You try it out and see what works best for you. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next following question from Sister Helene.
Okay.
Any reasons why whenever we describe Dharma, it is always mentioned Dharma as lovely in the beginning, lovely in the middle, and lovely in the end?
Yes.
What it actually means?
All right. Yeah, this one is a very famous phrase. This a reference to the three trainings. The three trainings in Sila, moral virtue, Samadhi, mental training, Samadhi, and then training in wisdom. So if you look at the Buddha's teaching, there are these three sections. We begin by learning what are the precepts. That's moral virtue or moral conduct, Sila, all right? So the first training is called Sila Sikha. Sikha means training, all right? So it is beautiful in the beginning because Buddhist training begins with understanding the precepts, why we keep the precepts, why the precepts are important for our starting point in practicing the Dharma. It keeps our body pure, so to speak, so we don't have to worry about, oh, I did this, I did that, okay? And then the second training is training the mind. So once your body is peaceful and you feel good about it, the next thing is to cultivate the mind. This one is the second training, okay? Samadhi Sikha. Samadhi Sikha. Training in concentration, in focusing the mind, cultivating the mind. And moral virtue and concentration, Sila and Samadhi are the basis for the third training. The third training is wisdom, which frees us from suffering. Wisdom, Aññā, means understanding things as they really are. Our breath comes in and goes out. It's impermanent. There's no self, right? So you reflect in that way. That is Paññā training in wisdom. So there you have Sila, Samadhi, Paññā. Sila is the beginning, it's beautiful, the precepts are beautiful, it makes you good and happy. Samadhi, training in concentration, mental cultivation is beautiful, it makes you happy. Wisdom is beautiful, liberating, makes you happy. So these are the three things. Beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. The end is wisdom, which frees us, which brings awakening. Okay? Okay, this next question anymore?
The next question from Brother Maya Upao.
Okay.
Brother Piya, what does it mean to be at peace with yourself?
Okay. This can be quite difficult to speak to explain sometimes. One way of putting it is you feel that you have done what is to be done, and you say, okay, that's it. I've done my best. I leave it at that. So it's a kind of equanimity. You tell yourself, this is the best I can do. All right. So you're neither happy or sad about it. Now that part is not easy. There's always some sense of sadness or even relief. You say, wow, okay, that's it. I can't do anything more. You say, don't blame me. It's almost like saying it's not my fault, right? But we don't go into that. So there's this sense of loving kindness, if you like, because loving kindness, if you notice, when nothing serious is happening. When there's no problems, you're happy. You say, may all beings be well and happy. But when someone needs help, you transform that loving kindness into action. Compassion is loving kindness in action, right? And then the situation is, after that, the person is happy, right? The person is successful. Then you're happy yourself. You're happy at someone's happiness. So that's the third divine abode. Then the last one is equanimity. Loving kindness, compassion, gladness, equanimity. Sometimes we do our best, we teach, we help people, and you find there are still people who don't understand. There's still people who do things the wrong way, and there are still those who don't have a chance to hear. It's not your fault. Everyone have their own karma, and you live it at that, right? You can't possibly help everyone in the world, but you have done your bit, because the reality is you're not helping anyone. You are learning as you help, and we all help ourselves in that way. Although I'm teaching you, but each of you is learning how to help yourself. This is what Buddhism is about. So you're at peace because you say, okay, I've done what needs to be done, and that's it. Now it is, as we say, the ball is in your court, something like that, right? And you go about doing what you need to do for yourself. So no matter what we do for others, we have to come back home to ourselves and get our own mind in order, our own body in order. Then you're at peace with yourself. You do what needs to be done. That's another way of putting it. You do what you need, what needs to be done. Yes, and as I say, it's not always easy. Sometimes we overdo it, and then you say, oops, I shouldn't have done so much. Sometimes you underdo it, right? But you get better, right? Suffering, failure are the best teachers, because if you're willing to learn, that is, right? Then you find you adjust yourself, then you become better at it. So at peace with yourself means also you enjoy doing what you are doing. For example, I mean, by now you all know I've been repeating myself so often. We started our work in 2002, and that's 20 years, 21 years we have been doing Sutta work. I'm the most surprised person. I said, how did I do this? I mean, it's not an easy thing, And very often, before I start the work, when I look at the sutta title, I say, oh no, this is going to be a tough sutta. How am I ever going to understand it? What if I repeat myself? What new thing can I say? I've written so many books and so on. So there's always that feeling, that apprehension. But I tell myself, that's not the point. You just do, because as a sutta, you are learning the sutta. Don't take it as translating the sutta. Take it as you are learning first the Pali, and then the grammar of it, and then see what other people have translated, how have they done it, and then look at it again, and then see do you understand it, and what are the notes you can put in to help people understand it better. Because if you don't understand it, you can be sure that others don't understand it too. So what I do is I put in all the notes and help people to understand. And I say, oh, okay, now I'm happy with this. And I feel good about it. All right. So I'm at peace with myself. So that's another way of putting it. You do what needs to be done because you enjoy doing it. And there is this sense of joy when you study the sutta, because you begin to see how the Dharma links together. Never before have you heard this. You hear things you don't hear before. Only a couple of days ago, this thing happened. So now I'm writing about this samatha vipassana. We're talking about vitaka, vichara. We're talking about thoughts, So in this new sutta, where the Buddha talks about satipatthana, how this what's called this focus of consciousness is used by way of samatha vipassana, about directing the mind, about minding, then I say, oh, this is very interesting. It's connected this mindfulness and awareness, sati sampajanya. Okay, these two terms, they often go together, sati sampajanya. All right, sati is your mind directing to the object. Sampajanya is watching it, looking at its impermanence, and so on. So they go together. Yeah, to myself, wow, this is connected with the first two jhana factors, right? For example, vitaka, vichara, you know. In vitaka, the mind is directed to the object, and vichara is sustain it. So this is done at the highest level, in deepest level in meditation. So I said, wow, this is interesting, you know, this connection. So I'm going to write about this after this, okay, or maybe tomorrow, you know, after my rest. So, and this gives me great joy. I say, wow, you know, I've discovered something new here. So this joy keeps us going. If you really enjoy your work, you will keep on going. And how do you enjoy your work? Be there with your work. If you don't understand something, okay, let's hold on for a while, ask people, look up references. There's so many books, so many people you can ask today. And for me, I got 20 years of work I've done to refer to, and I find somehow it's all there, and I only need to refine, update it. And the proofreaders sending their proofs also, it helps me to correct my errors. And all these are very joyful to see as our vision of the Dhamma becomes clearer and clearer. So joy is very important. Enjoy what you do. Okay, right. So I've gone beyond 5 minutes. So one last question, if there is.
Yeah, Brother Piya.
Yes.
Last question.
Okay.
From Brother Jayesh Kaur.
All right.
Can the 3 stages of lovely be based on time? Like lovely or beautiful in the past, lovely in the present, and lovely in the future?
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking. Yes, that's another way. Yeah. So that's called in terms of time. Yeah. So if you practice the Dhamma, you look at the past, you're very happy. You say, oh, you know, I kept the precepts, and then you think of the present, you're happy, and you think of the future. You say, well, I planted good karma now, and so this good karma will come to me. So in terms of time too. Very good. Okay, sadhu. Yeah. Okay, so
Thank you, Brother Piya.
that's all, huh? All right.
Yeah, actually, this Brother Maya want to
Okay.
confirm, is it just now his question is similar with surrender? Is it called surrender?
Okay, depends what you mean by surrender, by the way.
Mhm.
You got a good way of saying it and a bad way. Surrender because we feel defeated, of course, that's negative, right? Surrender in the sense of not allowing our ego to stop us from learning, all right? And we show humility to the teacher to learn. This is something very difficult for many modern people, especially scholars. There's a lot of pride, a lot of measuring. They look at people, they say, oh, is this person worth talking to? I mean, he can't sponsor anything, you know, why should I talk to him? And so they're always measuring people, right? In Malaysia, Singapore, we have a lot of that. We measure people, how much are you worth to me? If I talk to you, what do I get? That kind of thing, you know. So the danger in this kind of attitude is you never really have friends. And then one day suddenly when your job is over, you find you're all alone. And that's very sad, isn't it? So surrender, if it means humility in the sense of you respect people and you allow people to have their say, because sometimes people are not happy, they just want to say something, and you happen to be a good listener, and that's your compassion, and you listen to them with compassion. You say, oh, this person is suffering, let me just do my bit and listen. And you're happy because you are not that person. You don't have that suffering. So you're not making that funny sound, right? Of suffering. So in that way, you have surrendered, yes. But when this surrender is giving up, like bad air, you let it out. You don't want it. And like a bad habit, you let it go, right? You just renounce it. It is another word for renouncing, basically, in a good sense. So it can be good if you reflect that way. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Okay.
Can I read out Brother Ryan one last
Okay, sure.
simple question?
Yeah.
It's just asking whether is it you are planning for a trip to India next year?
Me?
Yeah.
No, we have no plans to travel at this stage. No. Not as well. Some of our friends are going, yeah, but we're not traveling very much. Funny, I'm quite happy just settle here, you know. I don't know, things may happen, but so far no plans at this. No. Okay. All right. So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Brother
Okay,
Piya.
Ratna, photograph time. Okay, now let us spend a quiet moment to end this session that we have today. Now, I'm happy reflecting. I have grown up and grown old in the Dharma. We are all progressing in that way. So as we do this, we find our understanding of the Dharma also is deepening, broadening. And today you have done just that. You have spent 1.5 hours reflecting on the three refuges, 5 precepts, reciting them, doing some meditation, and then also practice on your own, and then listening to the Dharma, asking questions, listening to the questions and the answers. These are all very good karma. Remember them, reflect on them. And by the power of all these good deeds, tell yourself, may I be well, may I be happy, may I grow wiser and happier, may I bring joy wherever I go. Send your loving kindness to your loved ones, people who are important to you wherever they are. And also to people you have difficulties with, that you will understand each other and be happy together again, especially in future lives. So have all those kind thoughts right now. And most of all, we joyfully acknowledge the Buddha as our only teacher, and the Dharma is the true teaching, the path that we want to follow and awaken to. And we respect and admire and feel joyful to know the great arhats and follow their examples. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.